you doing, YouTube? Today I'm going to be test driving a 2015 Porsche Boxster Roadster S. This is a very good looking car, very sharp, very aggressive. It's a 3.4 liter 6-cylinder Boxster engine. 325 horse, I believe. The cool thing about this car, one of the many cool things about this car, is that it weighs only 2,900 pounds, which is extremely light. I did a video review previously, maybe like 2 months ago or so, of a BMW Z4. Even though it looked smaller dimension-wise, it was significantly heavier. It was probably 400, 500 pounds heavier than this. This car has quite a few advantages over that car. The horsepower advantage, and almost 100 horsepower, and it's also a lot lighter. Okay, so there's different modes here. You have your traditional sport mode that you got in most cars. Traction control off and on button here. It looks like this vehicle might actually come with more options, but there's definitely some buttons here that are not being utilized for anything. I could have sworn I read somewhere that this car also gives you an option opening up the exhaust back there and closing it down, much like they do with the upcoming Shelby GT350R. So basically it'll just open up the exhaust and close it down so you can get a different kind of exhaust note. It's extremely responsive. From what I notice, you don't get any turbo lag because there's no turbo. Yeah, it's quick. It's definitely a quick car. I'm not going to say that it's ridiculously fast or that's, you know, like a straight line maniac machine, but I can tell you that it does feel very balanced. This mid-engine over here makes it perfectly balanced front to rear. I don't know exactly what the percentages are, how it does with the turn. Does extremely well. Let's see here. And it's a dead end. Woohoo! All right, let's turn around here. I mean, I love the exhaust note in this thing. It's kind of throaty. It doesn't have your traditional 6-cylinder or V6 or inline cylinder sound. It's definitely a lot gruntier. I don't know how they managed to get a convertible this light, especially by modern day car standards. I think maybe they got rid of some sound dampening materials, but I can tell you one thing, they definitely did not skimp out on the suspension. The car feels extremely solid. It's weird because it feels heavy, but not heavy at the same time. Does that make any sense to you? It doesn't make sense to me. Let me try to explain it. It feels extremely planted. It feels solid like most German cars are. Now, it's not a heavy solid, it's just a very well put together solid. You can tell that every nut and bolt in this car is just put on right. There is nothing missing here. There is no shortcuts taken or anything like that. I am very impressed. It's heavy in that sense, you know, because you feel it, you know, like it's also in sports mode, so it's suspension related possibly to some degree, but it just feels like it's all put together solid, which is something that you usually don't get with lighter cars. For instance, for this weight, I've driven Honda S2000 that, even though an amazing machine, like one of the best handling little cars for the dollar that you can get, with the exception of a Miata. Woo. But this just feels, even though it's the same weight, it feels a lot heavier and more solid, which to me, I think it's very comforting. You get a feeling of safety. It's definitely a very dramatic car. It's got a very nice sound to it. Shifting is really great. I really like it. Seats in this car are extremely comfortable. They're nice bucket seats. Don't know what company makes them. I don't know if this is Porsche. It doesn't say Recaro or anything like that. But they really provide a lot of support. My lats, the wider side of my back, if you will, are tucked in very nicely in there. There's not any lateral motion, which I think is really amazing. It provides good lumbar support, which I think is very important for people like myself that have a bad back or that are going on long trips. AC, I've been running the AC this whole time because here in Connecticut, it is 80 degrees. So it's very, very hot. So, and it's not losing much power from using the AC. So that's pretty amazing too. I pretty much have the GPS running the whole time on the dashboard over here. And it's pretty cool little feature, you know. I don't know what company that they use provide the location service, because I do know that auto manufacturers usually use different companies. So really liking this experience overall. Okay, so that's really cool. So you can actually open the convertible while driving. Okay, that's really neat. I know my wife has a convertible and it doesn't do that. You have to do a full stop, and you have to manually, you know, unlock the convertible and then hit the button and it'll open up. You don't have to do any of that here. It does it all for you. It's really cool. The windshields and the door windows do a really good job of preventing air from really going ballistic inside here. I do feel it on the top of my head, but it's not preventing me from having a good conversation with whichever passenger I may be traveling. Really comfortable drive. I think I'm going to steal this car from my friend Tony. That's the person that let me drive this car. I think I'm going to give her my GT500. Yes, Tony is a she. We're going to trade it for a week. She's going to be into muscle cars. I'm going to see her in a drag strip. And I'm just going to be your German enthusiast driving on the car. It'll be very fantastic. Wow, really cool. Again, I hope you guys can actually hear what I hear with this exhaust. I'm going to gun it really quick. Let's go. Amazing. Holy shit. All right, I'm sold. I need this in my collection. So, things to get in the next 5 years. Boxster. Corvette. I want a Corvette in my life. All you Mustang fans like myself couldn't hate me, but you got to give credit where it's due. Corvette is a really cool car. So who is this car good for? Well, first thing first, what do you prioritize? Do you want a practical vehicle that you can go on long trips, take your kids and your dogs, and enjoy a beautiful beach day? If you are, this is not your car. If you're single, if you're in a relationship and have no long-term ambitions of having any children, this car is for you. There's not that much trunk space, but you do have trunk in the front, and you also have trunk in the back. The reason for that is that this is a mid-engine car, so everything is right here, okay? As opposed to your traditional vehicles that are front engine, so that's why you always get the bigger trunk in the back. You don't get that with this. So if you're single, spirited driver, you have the money, this is the car for you. If you're planning on starting a family, already have a family, and you can't afford 2 cars, this is not the car for you. If you're into kind of maintaining your own car, this might be a little problematic for you. It's not the easiest car to access the engine compartment. Actually, to be honest with you, I tried to figure out how to do it, and I couldn't. There are some reservoirs you can access via through the front or to the rear, but if you want to get into the engine and do your own, you know, if you're a grease monkey and you want to do your own stuff, this is not for you, man. I can see this being a headache, complicated car to work in just because of the location of the engine.